Oh yeah!
Alright, hope everybody's having a good one. Welcome to Planet Coaster 2 with Cookie Pirate. Today we're gonna do the Viking Park and do some more picking up and some new stuff. I've kinda got a couple ideas over the last couple days. Jumpers, welcome, just waiting this one. Yeah, I had the broadcast posted for several minutes. I had to get up and get something before I was able to make it back, and you had already posted, but welcome! I appreciate you stopping by on Flight Sim earlier. So, before I jump into that park, I know nobody's really here yet, but I would like to see your coaster. Yeah, that's fine. Go ahead and give me the code, and I'll pull it up. Let me actually just go into the workshop. And... if I browse it, actually might already... no. Actually doesn't look like it is right now. You've probably had it up on the workshop for longer than just now, so. Okay, let me see here. 2MT67L610. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, no, man. I'm excited. Suggest the front bumper POV. Okay. Let me go into a sandbox park. I want to stick with the taiga theme. I'm really liking this biome a lot. It's probably my favorite of the 4 default ones. Alright. Let me go in here and do source. And let me find it somewhere in this list. That's it right there. Oh my! Why is it starting it up so high? Now, placing this is it's a real challenge with the elevation. Make sure the footers align with the ground. Yeah. I'm having a really tough time seeing the elevation of the path, and see that's underground. I think that's it right there. Oh, the advanced move tool. Yeah, I could do that. But that path is at ground level, so I think we got it. I am excited. You know what this reminds me of? Oh, and that's really cool. It's like a separate transfer and maintenance bay up here. Man. We need to get more people here to watch this coaster. This is, it almost feels slightly criminal not to have more people. And I'm not trying to advertise people to watch my channel just for the heck of watching the channel, but this... yeah. It's a mix of Fury, 325, Leviathan, and Orion. I was gonna say this looks very similar to Fury, at least the beginning portion. I can't wait to check it out without any further, these custom supports, too? Phenomenal. Really good job with that. Alright, let's give this a test run. Oh, come on. Okay, there we go. I like the lights that run up along the staircase. I like that right off the bat. Ow, man, my wrist is starting to hurt a little bit. The tree in the way. Oh, that's just like Fury. Right at the top. I love that airtime hill right in the middle, though. What a beautiful ride. That was really enjoyable. That's what I would like in a hypercoaster. You know what? We are going to ride that at night. I'm gonna actually watch it from the seat this time. I'll move closer to the center of the track. I really want to see this at night. I love those lights. Definitely the best coaster I've made in my opinion. I would have to say so as well. It's close. Because that other wooden coaster that you made was just so good. This looks like such a good... just an incredible layout. Twisted S-curve after the speed hill is my favorite personal is my personal favorite element that I've made. That looks so good with the lights. Alright, let me get off the ride. I actually would like to try a backseat view of this. Yeah, that right here, this came out really nice. It's not my personal favorite ride element on a coaster. But I think it fits really well with this this layout, because you've got this massive airtime hill, and then you've got the, not really the cutback, but the overbanked turn here. The speed hill, really nice S-curve, and then you go immediately up into another airtime hill, and then the helix. So it really works well in this position, and it's a really good additional element that's just different from airtime after airtime after airtime. So it fits really well. If I had one thing that I would critique, and I know it's tough based on the position of the station and the final brakes and stuff like that, but you're carrying a good bit of speed here still. I would maybe bring this up into another little bit of a hill and then just run the brakes down the whole way, because here you really didn't lose any speed on these. And then over here, it really almost seems to stall out. Now, in the real world, from the real world's perspective, I totally understand that. I would do drive tires here, unless you were prohibited because of a negligible difference in elevation, and I can see why that might be the case. That's coming from the perspective of me as a coaster builder trying to peak ride time. In the real world, I would do this, because that's a nice just kind of cool down, let everybody catch their breath, because this thing really is just non-stop from first drop to finish. That is criminal. That excitement should be so much higher. And, you know, I'm of the opinion, because a lot of the coasters you build, you make them so realistic with the end, and this is not being critical of you, I'm going to be critical of the game. I really think, after final breaks, this should not count into the EFN rating, overall. Because it really tapers everything down, and it shouldn't. This is not meant to be exciting. This is meant to, you know, bring the train back into the station, and give everybody a chance to catch their breath. And I don't think anything after the final breaks should count. That first drop is so... You're so good at that. I'm not great at profiling my first drops. That's phenomenal. Do I have any suggestions for a ride to make? Not at the moment. I would have to think about that. I would love to use this in, my current park. It's just much too large at the moment, for me to fit that. I'd have to clear a bunch of stuff out. But, you know, this is so good. This is a ride I would be ecstatic to be able to go on in in the real world. I'm not going to say you've outdone... Well, no, you have outdone yourself with this right here. This is just phenomenal. It's you, and you're a super good coaster builder, so I don't doubt, but I think you've set the bar really high with this coaster. I don't think I could build a hypercoaster better than this. And I sincerely mean that. I'm a good coaster builder. I'm not a great coaster builder, and you've done a fantastic job. This is something that people should be going onto the workshop and downloading to use in their parks. The layout's just that good. I do have a tip for first drops if you'd like one. Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Go for it. I'm just trying to think if there would be any way that I would be able to use this in my current park. I don't think there is without removing a ton of stuff, unfortunately, but this... I would love to put this in this. This is so nicely themed for this kind of an area. It's a place you would expect to see in Aurora, the Northern Lights, something like that. Basically, when you're building a first drop, you have to make the drop get progressively steeper until your desired angle of descent. Yeah, so not, for example, not right off the beginning and then taper it out. I see it doesn't reach its peak, decline isn't the right word. Drop angle, I could say. It doesn't reach its peak until right down about here, and then you taper it off to not make the G-forces too high. I usually tend to do the reverse, and that kind of hurts. Not really the experience, but the realism. Low... I'm gonna butcher this, and I'm sorry. Low Meganas? Hello. Yeah, welcome. Good to have you. What a great ride, though. This is... I actually, before I, the ride. Before I get out of it, I do want to look at the rest of the stats. 3 lateral, that's a little high, but, not unreasonable. 4.3 on the vertical Gs. -1 on the, airtime. Seven seconds of airtime. I want to look at the heat map. See the excitement. So good. If you look at Thunderstriker's drop, it also peaks around the middle. Yeah, I've been on that several times, and it's tough to tell from the perspective of being on the ride. It's not one that I really glance at a lot. Especially just the way the ride sits, it's kind of hard to get a real good side profile of it. But yeah, that does sound about right. Fury's does too. The reason I'm so good at B&M drops is because I went out of my way to study how they looked. Well, that explains it. My home park is Carowinds. Yeah, Low Meganas. I'm sorry if I'm not saying that right, but Jimper's built this coaster, and he posted the share code a little higher up. I would recommend everybody who plays this game to go get this coaster. I don't say that lightly. I don't normally tell people, go check this coaster out, and everybody go get it, download it. I mean, people see, like, my regular viewers and stuff. They know that Jimpers does some really cool stuff, and might go check it out or add it or dabble with it or something like that. But this is something I would recommend to the community at large. This needs to be high up on the workshop. That excitement rating in the 6s is criminal. Oh, yours is King's Island. Okay. Yeah, so this is... It most looks like Fury to me. Other than a couple signature elements not being there, like the treble clef. The dive under the tunnel. But this was actually built with elements from all 3 of the B&M Gigas, which explains that. And this is so good. It takes the best out of a lot of them. I think I see more resemblance to Fury, but that could also be bias from me being so familiar with that ride. But the station, the final brakes, the lift, the first drop, and this overbank turn at the very top is just signature Fury. And then I'm not as well familiar with Orion and Leviathan, but I know that it incorporates elements. I wish Orion was longer. Yeah, I've heard people say Orion is the weakest of the 3. And that is still a good ride overall, but it doesn't do Fury justice, and Leviathan's kind of in the middle from what I've heard. It's more of a gimmicky... It's a Giga dive, more of a gimmicky coaster than an actual Giga. Yeah. Yeah. It's Giga solely in the definition of the height. Dale, what's going on, man? Alright, actually, before I get out of this, I do want to ride it one more time. I'm going to turn the light back to day. And I want to give this a back row ride. I'm gonna stay on that, though. How much credits do I have? I don't know. I'd have to count. I don't keep track closely. Like, I don't travel to a whole bunch of parks to ride coasters. I generally stick to ones that are not too far away. I'm about 2 hours from Carowinds, so that's my home park, and that's a great home park to have. And that's generally, like, they've got some really good rides that I find pretty sufficient, so... That bird! Literally flew right through the bird. I don't know. So, just from the point of view, from the back row, visually it looked a little underwhelming. But I know, just from my experience riding Gigas and Hypers, that the view doesn't do it justice. Like, you'd be getting some wild pops of ejector on this ride in the back row. So you have 12. Hey, Roblox Railfan. Hello, Cookie Monster. I know that's not my best Cookie Monster voice, but what's going on, man? I don't count credits, sadly. If I had to guess, it might be 75 to 90. Yeah, I'm probably a bit below that. But if I counted everything, I'd probably be somewhere around 50, I think. I'd have to think really hard and go back and look. Alright, I'm going to get out of this here. Super great coaster. I'm going to post the code one more time. More people need to see that. That is a coaster that should be on the top of the workshop. A phenomenal job again. Alright, from there, let's go ahead into the park and kind of mess around. Tomorrow, going to your town's carnival. Alright, I hope you have a good time. I know a lot of carnivals don't really have coasters per se, but if you do, you know if any are going to be there. Alright, I'm just curious. I am going to pull that blueprint up. Just to see if there's... Our layout at the back of the park is kind of in the way of this stuff here. If we put that at the very, very front of the park... Yeah, see, barely fits over this way. I just don't think it's going to be possible in this. Though I would absolutely love to see if it was. I might save that for another park, because I really would like to use that coaster in a future park. Man, my wrist is starting to hurt again. I was not feeling up to streaming last night. I was actually having some pretty bad arm and wrist pain, and it's better today, but it is still bothering me a little bit. And I have I actually have a piano performance tomorrow, and I'm a little bit concerned that I don't think it's bad enough to affect my ability to play, but I'm also really careful not to aggravate it. Jimpers, tell you what, if you want something to try, take this dive coaster. Try to rework it if you're up to trying that. This was the third coaster in this park I built. And I think a big part of it is it takes a real hit on the excitement because of the pacing going up the second lift hill, and then it's a lot of dead track coming into the station, and I think that makes the coaster take a hit. It's not bad overall, but the stats are kind of weak, and I think that's because of the see, I'm surprised that excitement spikes right there. But it definitely takes a hit on the pacing. Up here, kind of going through that. It gets really good underground, but then it tapers way off until you pop back up over the hill. So I'm kind of wondering what you might be able to do with that. If you don't want to do a dive, then I can give you another idea. I don't blame you. Dive coasters are... I'm not going to say they're one-trick ponies, but... I'm going to call them two-trick ponies. And obviously the dive is the gimmick of these coasters. I really like the way that they interact with different types of inversions. I'm sure that's not a totally fair statement that they really feel like two-trick ponies if you really get a good one with a great mix of inversions and airtime and good pacing. Now my town is 2,000 people. The biggest rides are a roller-plane and a rocket-plane. Oh man, well I mean this still sounds kind of fun. If you don't know, Kings Island has a very bad entrance, so I made one in Planet Coaster 2. I'm not familiar, I've not been to Kings Island. From the top of my head, I can't imagine how the park entrance would be really bad, unless it's just narrow and cluttered or something like that, but... Kings Island is my home park, so I don't think the entrance is bad. Never been to Kings Island. Yeah, Coaster Creator, I haven't either. That's got to be another one of JP's alts. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I recognize that. It just took me a second. Alright, so over here we built and opened this restaurant, and it's not getting much activity right now. It has got a... well, it's got a little bit down here. How are these people trapped? What? Also, bro, it's just me, JP, from last time, and it's the same alt. I was gonna say I recognize it now. Yeah, it took me a minute. Why are these people trapped? Okay, now they're not. Is it some weird... Did the path with the staircase in here get messed up or something? I don't see anything that would be... Now, that doesn't make sense, because last time people were actually coming up onto here. So, I really hope they fix some of the pathing bugs with people getting stuck. People say it's bad because it's a big box that has the ticket scanners inside, but they put ride advertisements on it. Huh. I'm gonna replace this. We switch this out. Bromik did a really good job remaking this ride. I'm not totally certain I'm gonna keep it in this exact same location, but I think it may work if we do that. I mean, we built everything around it already. That restaurant could probably get relocated. Gotta decide where I would want to do additional water rides and stuff like that. And I thought about doing like a nice kind of indoor pool. Kind of in the style of that building there. Almost like a hot spring. Oh yeah, Jimpers, yeah, you might have stepped away, but I was telling you, I'd love to see you rework this dive coaster. I'll go back through it a little bit. I think the pacing kind of hurts the overall performance of the ride. Like if you look, for example, here, I think the second lift hill really kind of hurts the pacing. And then, for some reason, it goes way up when you dive underground, and then it tapers way off coming back. That pop of airtime, I think, doesn't really do much, and then it gets really exciting here over the water, and then there's just a lot of dead track coming back into the station. Am I excited? Only 4 more days to the sorcery pack. Yeah, I think that's going to be a fun one. And supposedly, I think the release price they said was only going to be $12.99. That's not a bad deal for what they're adding in. Would you care if I remade the whole coaster? No. No, that's fine. I will say what I had originally tried to do with it was to have the 0G roll go up over the path, but it's so tall, I'm not really sure that you would count that as a really good, like, interaction, so to speak. Do as you see fit with it, though. I do like how it dives underground. That was one of my favorite things that I did with it. Crime caught on camera. What happened? No security around, time to pick some pockets? Well, sorry, but you didn't notice the camera. Get out. Yeah. Oh! Hold up, there's a chase. Ha! She got busted. Go home. Well, she's going home anyway. Maybe it's time to change my ways. Yeah, come back another day when you decide you want to behave. Somebody just vandalized that bench? Who did it? Hold on a second. I don't think it would have been anybody in this group. Who busted the bench? We get an emergency call to get that fixed. If you were able to make a DLC, what would it be like? Ooh, or what would it be? That is a good question. Would do a DLC for transfer tracks like actual working transfer tracks with extra tracks. Yeah, I think that would be cool. I wish what they would do is implement swing launches on the, we go in and look at the coaster types. For these, Intamin, the hydraulic coasters and stuff like that. I wish they would... Oh, extra trains. Oh, yeah, okay. I wish they would do a free... This should be a free update. It's not hard to implement. They have the mechanic developed. It's just a matter of getting it to function on these different ride types. But they should do that for these. They should do it for the premier rides, like the fact that these premier coasters don't have a proper swing. Now I know they have the swing launch in the style of like Full Throttle at Magic Mountain, but I'm thinking if you talk about like the Skyrocket models or not Arctic Rescue, that's the San Diego one. The one at SeaWorld Orlando. Icebreaker. They really need to do that for Premier. I mean, that's what a lot of these Premier LSMs are about. It's, in my opinion, that is a mistake. That, not including that. Shem, welcome. Whoa, what the hecking crikey is up with that element to double up death roll? Well, so off of here, it's kind of a banked, and then, yeah, you do the death roll. If you're talking about this double up right here, it's actually a double down. And then you have an extended zero-G stall. You have an even longer zero-G stall right here on the second half. But this has 2 lift hills. This is the other death roll right here. Oh yeah, that right there, the double up death roll. Yeah. Okay, yeah, that's the one you were looking at. And I was looking at something else, and I was thinking at first you were referring to that. Yeah, I went all out with this coaster. This is a little bit ridiculous. I was playing a Roblox kart ride game, and it went up the modern RMC lift hill. Oh, that's pretty cool. Aurora is in Illinois, and the area code is 331. Really? I didn't know that. That's funny. I thought he probably called it 331 because he made the ride 331 feet tall or something, or maybe that was a reference and he's saying, no, I'm not really from there. Yeah, Brawlmick remade this coaster. I think it only has 4 inversions. The layout's definitely a lot more smooth. Makes more sense. So this restaurant here, just need a janitor to clean up. Actually, if you had to make a mod for this game, what would it be? I don't know. I know there are a pretty good number of mods, I haven't really done anything with the mods in this game. If I had to think of a DLC, I would go with a theme. I actually would really like to see like a winter theme or a Christmas theme or something like that. Otherwise, if you go back all the way to RCT3 when they had the Wild expansion pack, when they had the animals and stuff like that, and I think that wouldn't be too terribly difficult for them to implement in something like this, given the Planet Zoo. That would be cool. You could make a more like proper Busch Gardens or SeaWorld style park with the animals and aquarium, stuff like that. I think that would be a really neat addition. Went back up to this area. There's really nothing around here, so it's just a long walk from point A to point B. Oh no, we do have a restroom up top here. How is it that these people are stuck again? I don't know why they're getting stuck. Kind of like RCT3 with the Wild expansion. Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I was referring to. Very specific. I'd like to put some spinning seats at the back of otherwise normal trains. Steel Taipan, Icon, Blue Fire. I think that would be a really cool idea. Gonna change it to a hyperdive if it isn't one, and it has 102-degree. Ooh. Beyond vertical, I like that. I think this one is one. It's close to 200. That first drop actually goes below the surface, so that is 205. So it's got to be just below 200 feet tall. This drop over here, I think, was somewhere around 150, but it also levels out above ground level. So. Yeah, I'm curious to see what you can do with it. So, yeah. Do as you see fit with that coaster. Oop, busted. Out. Guests can't reach a park entrance again? How in the world? Yeah, they need to really fix that bug. The change in elevation makes it a hyper. Yeah. That kind of fits under the category of Orion in a sense. It's not 300 feet tall, but I guess it has a 300-foot drop. Something like that. Alright. We got her unstuck. I'd say Orion is a Giga. I would agree with that by virtue of having the drop, but I know that's a point of contention for some people. Again. What is it with people getting stuck up here? Alright. I think... Let me just try... No, they're coming up here and getting stuck. Well, now she's not. In the words of Airtime Thrills, I don't care about the height. I want that drop. I agree with that. I think that's a valid point. Alright, let's try replacing this. And I'm curious if that would solve the issue. And we'll go back in and add. There's some railings. Not there. Here. Along this back edge. And these two right there. And we'll see if that solves the problem. Diamondback is better than Orion. I have heard some people rate, I've heard some people rate Diamondback as the top hyper. I haven't been on it, so I can't say. But the best B&M hyper. But I don't think that's too hot of a take. Cookie, if you give me the code for the coaster, I can try my best to theme it up after what I did with Axe of the Forest. Which one? Not this bug. This again? Uh-oh. Alright, hold on. The dive. I'm letting Jimpers rework that one. And then we'll see what he does with it, and you might be able to take that share code and I'm gonna do some scenery work on it. So my interface is bugged. I'm clicking on things, and I'm not seeing anything. So, yeah. Alright. Let me... There's not like a hotkey to go to the main menu. And I want to do something, so is there a ride I can try to theme up? You can... I mean, I know I have some of these coasters on the workshop already. I mean, feel free to take something and just play around with it. You should see how speedy the Yukon Striker's lift hill is. Like a 15-mile-an-hour chain lift. Cookie, if you go to Kings Island, do not have high hopes for Mystic Timber. So overrated. I've heard that. Shambhala at Port Aventura is by face. B&M, I'm guessing. Fave. Okay, yeah. I figured you meant your favorite B&M Hyper. Haven't ridden Mako, but crazy floater airtime that goes on forever sounds very similar. Shambhala is one of those bucket coasters that I want to get on. Just I've heard that's the best B&M Hyper out there. Obviously you have to go across the pond to get to it, so I think that's a tough ask for a lot of people, but that would, if I ever make it to there, then yes. And then Dragon Con. I would love to go on Dragon Con. I'm a big fan of the old school B&M loopers. Sit down, floorless, stuff like that. Can agree Mystic Timbers is very overrated. I mean, I've heard it's not bad, but if it was smooth, then I would like it. Actually, speaking of, where is Bromik? I don't know. I know he often goes to bed a little bit earlier, because I think he has to get up real early in the morning for work. He was on my Flight Sim stream earlier. I don't know where he's at now, but yeah, if he makes it, great. If not, he can always catch the replay, and I'll be glad to see him the next time. So, but yeah, I mean, you all, I love having you all hang out. You're never obligated to come to every stream or stay for the entire duration of it. I don't ask that. That's not reasonable. We'll come and go as you need or as you see fit. Can I give you a code for one of your blueprints? You can find me on the workshop. Yeah, let me see here. Or, I mean, can you just search for a creator? Yeah, oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. Bromik's actually listed as a creator in the spotlight. That's awesome. He builds a lot of really cool stuff. Let me go to my uploads. Oh, I actually have this entire park up on the workshop. I probably haven't updated it in a bit. But that's my... There's a caps lock on. If you just search, that, you should be able to find all of those that I have. I don't have everything I've built uploaded. Have you thought about putting a train crossing on that path where the train comes through? You know, it would be really cool to implement something like that, but I just ended up building that kind of as needed. I would like to do that, or reroute the train to not go straight through the path. But since there's no real consequence of doing that, I'll clean it up at some point. It's not a high priority for me. What's the best coaster at Carowinds? Definitely Fury. I would say Copperhead Strike is a number 2, and Afterburn is number 3. Carowinds has a lot of really good coasters. They have a few terrible coasters, and then they have a lot that are kind of mid or temperamental. Dragon Con is great if you like Kraken, Floorless, Granite, and Kumba. I love Kraken, I love Kumba. me just see, make sure. Well, no, it doesn't look like anybody's getting stuck up here now, but I almost wonder if people aren't able to go down the stairs properly or something. I don't know what's going on with that. I'll have to look into that. Same for Kings Island. I mean, I think most parks that have a ton of coasters have their share. Think of Canada's Wonderland. They have some really good ones. They have some really bad ones. And then they have some that are kind of, you know, middle of the road. That's pretty typical for big parks. Alright, I want to designate some sort of an area for, like, water rides at water park. I'm thinking maybe back here. Because ideally we should bring this out. Yeah, make it a higher traffic area. I think not a lot of people are getting over here. I think Canada's Wonderland is the only park with 2 good arrows. What's that suspended swinging one? Vortex. And then, oh gosh, it's slipping from me. What's the name of the old sit-down looper? Dragonfire, that's right. Yeah, I've heard Dragonfire's not bad. Alright, I'm gonna do a little bit of park management stuff here. I want to try to get some of this cleaned up. Cedar Point doesn't have great arrows. Okay, remember I asked you to give me a coaster and theme to do as a challenge. I want you to do it again, but different. They have a good top 2 with Magnum and Gemini. I'd have to think about that challenge. I mean, I don't mind you all asking me for ideas and stuff like that, but like at the same time, I want you all to just be creative and come up with the stuff that your heart you know, tells you to make. Kinda in your own theme, in your own style. I mean, you can do so much. You're not limited solely to the different scenery packs or themes in game. And at the same time, you know, I've got my park and ideas for it and stuff like that. It's difficult for me to come up with something to ask somebody to do from scratch, but more so take something that I have existing and improve upon it. Corkscrew super rough. All the others, let me get caught up here. All the others are mediocre at best. Corkscrew super rough. Hill after that first drop is so great though. Everything else is pure headbanging. Let me see. Dale, yes I do. The game starts to run. You take a considerable hit on performance if you go above 6,000. You can turn it up. I know my computer can handle it, but I'm not trying to push this to the max with extra guests. Liking the theming of the Viking Park, though. Blackpool Pleasure Beach has 2 great aero coasters and Big One and Revolution. I'd say Steeplechase, while brutal, is unique and fun, so that's 3 good arrows in one park. I have no thoughts behind my eyes. All my thoughts are school and the update. Well, get school out of your mind, because it's the weekend. I can tell you that much. And then the update So, for the update, if you plan on getting it when it comes out, what I would tell you to do, and I do this not even necessarily for updates, but I think of ideas that I might want to do for a park. For a certain coaster, or maybe some sort of a building, something I want to feature in the park. And just kind of brainstorm, draw it out. Kind of research some existing rides that might have a similar theme, or maybe a similar layout to a coaster that you would want to build in the game. And think about it. And then that way, you kind of have an idea. Once you get it, then you're not stuck. You actually have a plan to build kind of what you're envisioning. Also just saw the train pass through the wooden coaster, or phase through the wooden coaster. There's all of this. Yeah, so... I mean, the wooden coaster, it's technically... through. Oh, it's a little low clearance right there. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this railroad is going to get changed at some point. It also only has 3 stations right now. Eventually, if we fill this park up, it's going to need to go to 4. You know what I got in my head is work, and I'm trying not to think about that, but I've been waiting for this for 4 months. Tomorrow I have a piano masterclass I'm performing in. I've been eagerly waiting for that since May or early June, whenever my teacher had told me about it happening, and he said he really wanted me to perform, and I have not publicly played piano for an audience in 16 years now, over 16 years. So I'm really excited for it. I'm a little nervous, but I'm also a little bit concerned, just because I've been having some pain over the last few days in my left arm and wrist. I'm just hoping that's not really going to impede my ability to play well tomorrow. Okay, anyway, I'm going to make a coaster that can fit in your park. Yeah, go for it. I mean, if you want a certain type, I can look at something and suggest something. Good luck with the masterclass. Yeah, man, thank you. I appreciate it. I've been eagerly waiting for it. My band is playing our first show in about 3 years in some bar downtown. Hey, well, that's often the place to get started, or I should say restarted or something like that, into performing and everything like that. What do you play? You may have told me before, and I don't remember off the top of my head, but you might not have told me. Ah! Why did it do that? I'm trying to get the railings to match this here. What even type? Is it this? I think it's this one, actually. Yeah, okay, it's that one. But... Path Foundation is off. That cleans that up, but we don't need the railings on this side. So I clean that up. Turn them back on and place them right over there. You play metal, we're a cover band, so a lot of Metallica, Megadeth, and other bands like that. That's cool, I meant one instrument. I do remember you saying you were a big metal fan. Oh, guitar and singing. Wow. Alright. That's one thing I don't do super well. I can sing, I'm not great. Except now it's kind of converting the path type, but I didn't really want to change that. My teacher's parents and siblings hate that I'm a roller coaster enthusiast. Oh, yeah, sorry, I missed your message up there. I think I may have said it and I didn't even answer you. Don't know what to name your RMC hybrid. Well, what kind of theme, if any, do you have, for the ride? Do you have something in mind? Or did you just kind of build something generic to, kind of come up with whatever? I play bass and I cannot do vocals and play at the same time. Yeah. I've tried my hand at singing and playing piano at the same time, and I really can't do it. That's a special level of talent. But I'm also classically trained, and I've dabbled a little bit with jazz piano. I'm not nearly as well at that, but I can do some good improv. I can play bass. I can't play guitar though. Like doing like all the shredding and stuff like that I can't really do. And I also can't really play chords on a guitar. I can play bass, it's easy enough to do like one note at a time, which is common when you have a bass line. To, you know, my limited knowledge. Let me see here. No, so you don't have a theme for it. Alright, that makes it a little bit tougher to come up with a name. Because I myself, even with themed coasters, I tend to struggle with names. Just ask a few people on here that several times I've actually opened it up in the chat for people to come up with a name for me. Maybe somebody here could help you come up with a good name. I'm not the best person for it. What about that Giga? I can put the share code back here if you want to theme it. No, that's a really good idea. I can go up and copy it. I know I shared it. You did early on before a lot of people got here. It's a good turnout tonight, though. I'm happy with that. Alright, so JP, that is the share code for Jimper's Giga that he made early on. It's a fantastic coaster. I recommend everybody go check that out. It's super well done. Dale used to be in punk band and emo band, played bass and sang, was an easy core band, and singer, screamer, and played guitar. Oh man, so you did about all of it. The only slight trace you'll ever hear of me doing anything hard rock is when I went into the tropical park that one day and started creating that jungle section, and do I dare imitate what I did that one day? I'm sure it's probably on one of the replays of the stream. Char Blinks 182. That's Dale. He just renamed. I just call him Dale because it's easier to say that. Play us some freaking piano tracks. You know, I've thought of doing that. I've thought of setting up a channel or even just adding a few on my current one, doing some piano stuff. But I have a Kawai digital piano here at my house, and it's cool because you can actually record on it, and it will create MP3s of you playing. But it becomes a lot more difficult to actually record, like, video of it, because the sound from the video recording isn't clear in the sense that the MP3 from the actual piano is, and then trying to line that up, match up the timing and everything like that, that becomes a real challenge. Yeah, Reese, what's going on, man? Welcome. But I mean, I love music. I've played piano since I was very young. Like, I did group classes when I was young. I started taking private piano lessons when I was 7, I think. Yeah, it's a massive coaster. I was disappointed that I couldn't find a place to fit it, because I would use that in a heartbeat. But there's no way to place that coaster in this park without deleting a considerable amount of stuff. So I was a little bit disappointed to find that I wasn't going to be able to do that. Piano was actually the first instrument I learned to play. Oh man, yeah, mine too. And I've dabbled in a bunch of different things. I've played a little bit of bass guitar. Not anything really serious. Since there's more people in the stream, should we show the Giga again? Yeah, let's do it. That's just, I would not normally, and I'd tell people, hey, just go back and watch the replay or rewind to the beginning of stream and come back. But for that coaster, yes. Yeah, that needs, people need to see that. People need to get out and download that. Percussion, nice. I've dabbled with percussion. I also make beats and orchestra tracks. Do you use like GarageBand or what's the Apple? Not Logic Pro. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like the paid version of GarageBand. It's like $200. Fruity Loops. Coaster creator, no, that wasn't him. That was, Lo Meganos. I think that was asking for the name. But yeah, that's a good idea. Fan of nouns, adjectives for coaster names. Twisted, Wicked, Untamed, Prowler. Yeah. Yeah, especially with the RMCs, I think that's a really good idea. I played drums in middle school, yeah. I did in high school. I actually played, I did trumpet and French horn in band, in middle and high school. And then I did dabble a little bit with percussion. I got to play the, What did I play in marching band? It wasn't the quads. I think I did mostly auxiliary percussion, so cowbell, more cowbell, more cowbell. But then I also, one thing I actually really enjoyed was the... Let me get this thing rolling. You know what? Front bumper. You play clarinet now because you're in middle school. My sister played clarinet. Not a bad instrument. I tried it, and I tried a couple other single reed instruments, and I could not make a proper sound out of it. Yeah, so this is the coaster Jimpers built that we watched at the very beginning of the stream, before the majority of you got here. This is too good to not watch one more time. I got a fever and the only prescription is more Giga. And I'm male and it's really hard for me. I know of some male clarinetists, flute players, and stuff like that. I never got the chance to try a double reed. We had a girl who played bassoon, and she was actually pretty decent at it, and I've heard that's a pretty tough instrument to play, like even harder than like the oboe or cor anglais. When it comes to orchestral music, I'm actually a really big fan of contrabassoon. And, oh, right through the tree. And it sucks because contrabassoon, you really don't get, like, solos and stuff. One big exception to that is Ravel, if any of you are familiar with Ravel. His famous Bolero. He has some other pretty well-known orchestral pieces, like the Mother Goose Suite, and in the La Mer. No, that's not La Mer. That's the That's it. Ma Mère la Oie is the French name for it, and there is a movement in that piece called Conversations Between Beauty and the Beast. Beauty is a flute, and at other times a piccolo, and a couple other instruments that kind of take that main beauty theme. The Beast is a contrabassoon, and it is one of the most profound contrabassoon solos, I think, in any orchestral repertoire. And it's phenomenal. I would ride that Giga. Yeah, I'm waiting on the block brakes. I would go out of my way to ride a Giga like this. It's just a phenomenal ride. So, if you all want to see, I did do a back row and a night POV of this early on, so I encourage you all to check the stream replay after I finish up tonight. Or I think you all have the ability to rewind and go back and see if you choose to. Okay, you might want to look at the end of the chain lift. Your custom supports there are not connected. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, right here. And then up top right there too. They were connected, but when I was saving the blueprint, it weirdly got rid of the connecting piece to the track. Huh. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't think that was, like, forgotten. I figured it probably, it, like, didn't carry over when it saved, or something like that. Gonna see what you can do theming wise. But yeah, I highly encourage you all. You've got the share code there. Posted it a little ways up. But absolutely go check that. Check that coaster out. Mess around with it. Ride it. Add it to your park. That needs to be high up on the workshop. Yeah, woodwinds were never my thing, though. Every woodwind I tried, I couldn't get a proper sound. But, yeah, piano's always been my bread and butter. One of the cool things with, going back to percussion, I did get to play, I believe, the marimba. It may have been a vibraphone. I ditched brass for 1 or 2 pieces one year to be able to play the vibraphone or marimba. Might have been one of each. But the really cool thing about that, and I never spent enough time on the instrument to do it properly, but I remember playing in a jazz band, and there was a girl who played the marimba. And she was able to use 2 mallets in each hand. And I thought that was the coolest thing, because I didn't know much about that at the time. And I said, I don't think I could do that. And she said, well, give it a try. And so I did 1 in my left hand and 2 in my right hand. And it was really tough. I couldn't do it well. But she said she'd been playing since she was young, and she was super talented. The only man I've heard play clarinet is Squidward. I forgot about that. Back in the mist of time, early 90s in primary, unsure of your equivalent. So we have something called primary school. That's like elementary, your earliest years of elementary. We were always brought into the assembly to Bolero, so negative association for me. I actually like Bolero. I know it's kind of an overrated piece. Ravel himself was not proud of it, and he was actually really dismayed that that became his most popular piece, because Ravel was one of those composers that really did not crank out a lot of music. The stuff that he did write was high quality. Some of his piano repertoire is among the hardest in is among the hardest on the instrument. The Gaspard de la Nuit suite, a couple pieces in his Mirage suite is extremely difficult. La Valse, I could go on, and that's a lot of stuff that probably some of you have never heard of. But I would encourage you all to go check it out if you like any classical music. Personally, my favorite composer is Chopin. And Chopin wrote not exclusively for the piano, but the vast majority of his stuff was for solo piano. And everything that he wrote that isn't does include the piano. So he basically wrote nothing that doesn't have a piano in it. And he wrote a ton of really good stuff that I like. He wrote a few things that I don't care for. But the vast majority of it I actually greatly enjoy. Go listen to Stranger on the Shore by Acker Bilk. Great piece of British jazz clarinet too. Interesting. I've not heard of that. Alright, we're gonna check out that dive. Here it is. And now I'm starting to run out of space. I'm trying to find a place that I can place it without we could maybe... Oh, that barely clears the top. I don't think that train actually would really clear it. But yeah, let me take a look at this. We'll place that there. Let's give this a shot. Start test. Oh. Let's change to front. What's going on, men? Welcome back. You two go listen to Stranger on the Shore. The clarinet has never sounded richer, and it's a great piece. Yeah, I'll have to give that a listen. Oh, yeah. That's a really nicely profiled 0G roll. Sweeping turn up into the mids and the second drop. Surprise corkscrew. It barely makes it up that final hill. Charlie, welcome. Yeah, I like that layout. Alright, let's see here. 73 miles an hour. The drop was 176. Yeah. I know you said this, and I didn't even think of it at first. This is a 102-degree drop. These are really nice. Beyond vertical drop. Good Immelman right there. 0G up into the brakes. Drop off of that goes through a hill and the helix and the corkscrew and up over one more hill into the final brake run there. I like it, like B&M trying to compete with Current, Vekoma, Mach, etc. Yeah. I feel like it takes the second half a little bit too slow, but it doesn't seem like the brakes really hit that hard, although I did see more of a slowdown. You can see it more this way than when we were on the ride. But I think the pacing suffers a little bit in the second half. Could probably adjust that by turning up the brake speed. I do want to look at that. Target speed is 5. I didn't see what the release speed of that was. I want to try turning that up to 15. Just seeing if that makes the second half of the ride too rough, or not rough, but too forceful. Anyone is wanting a good piece of music, I suggest Turn the Page by Metallica. I'm not familiar with that one, but I do like Metallica. It's fine margins, isn't it? Trying to keep the flow and including stalls successfully. Yes. I think the first half of this ride is fantastic. The second half, I would need to see how increasing the brake speed would affect the second half, the pacing. I feel... I'm not really seeing much of a difference. It almost seems like the brakes aren't hitting. I would say we could probably temper down those downhill brakes a little bit. It almost seems like this right here hurts the pacing of the ride. One thing that I've noticed, just kind of experimenting with dive coasters over the time, is that it seems like they don't roll as fluidly as some of the other B&Ms. I think it's because there's so much resistance with the air, with, you know, the way the cars have 10 seats across as opposed to 4. So it almost seems like it's harder to keep your momentum on these dive coasters. And I think that's part of why I struggle with them. I do like this. It has a really good layout. I would like to find a way, or if Jimpers, if you want to try a crack at it or something like that, to kind of improve the pacing of the second half of the ride. Like, what I'm almost thinking is try to taper this hill. I would go into a corkscrew and then do a helix at the end, almost kind of like what Shikra does. You come up onto that, you get that pop of airtime before you come down over the water, and of course it doesn't have a corkscrew. But you have the airtime and then come down over the water, the splashdown, and then you have that tight helix into the station. But I like this. I didn't notice this too until looking at it right now. This is a really steeply profiled 0G roll. I like that a lot. Super well written, and the vocals contrast the guitar perfectly. Alright, so anybody here ever play Guitar Hero or Rock Band or any of that stuff? I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. You can't keep that there. Whenever we come to replace this. It kind of sits, kind of overlaps this track here. Anyway, gonna head out for tonight. See you guys next stream. Alright, JP, have a great evening. Thanks so much for hanging out. You just finished your hybrid. Alright, good deal. I'd come back in here and see kind of what else. So this was the plaza where we had the Intamin hydraulic, a la King Dakar sort of ride. This wooden was, earlier on, the line was all the way back to here, which is pretty cool. Looks like it's kind of thinned out as people are kind of making their way around. I don't see anybody going up to here. Red and white and called Firebird. I think that's a cool one. That sounds like a good theme. Oh, you know what? I think I see a problem. That is probably the issue right there. Is for some reason before people were getting stuck on the stairs, and now for some reason it seems like nobody can go up them. Too steep. So we place that there. And now the stairs are connected, so I wonder if people will go up them. A little bit weird. So one thing I thought of doing was actually like an indoor pool, kind of almost in the style of that restaurant. When I sign in for workshop, can I show you? Yeah, absolutely. I want to do something with this out over here though, because we get these nicely profiled interlocking corkscrews. And nobody really gets any view of them. Maybe just a little bit when you're coming up the stairs. Yeah, never mind, just rather chill here. Alright, yeah, no, that's totally fine. So, I don't know. That would probably require a reprofile of the queue and the station. Or we possibly build something that is not connected to this, like a path out to something over in this direction or something like that. I do want to actually try. The only thing is I'm not really sure where to put it. But you know what? Maybe we'll give some... But do I want to do that right here in proximity to the restaurant? I'd rather designate a proper space for the water rides and stuff like that. Did that person break the trash can, or was it... Couldn't I see it broken? Question is, who did it? I can't tell. Oh, she got busted. Going home. Oh, it's the same person. Okay. This is always stacked. See, this coaster station that I built doesn't actually even fit properly. So these coaster stations seem to fit rides like Gerstlauers and stuff like that, but these longer trains, they don't accommodate them. And that's a little bit detrimental when you want to try to use it, but it just limits you so much to... Why did that show up again? That's the same person who's going home. Oh, well, this person got in trouble too. Go, go, go! Get her! Is she gonna make it out? Ah, she made it out. Wow. Alright, somebody needs to sign her up for the Planet Coaster Olympics. Haha, that was stupid. I do want to see, because there's a number of complaints about people stepping in barf. Oh. Look at that. It's like floating over the stairs. Oh, man. What about over here? There's not really any over here. Not really over here too. Let me go into the heat map and just kind of take a look at what needs cleaning. Oh, it's oh man. That's going to require like a dedicated hazmat crew right there. Alright, that's getting cleaned up. Let me see what the other heat mat kind of areas of concern. Oh, a lot over here kind of by this. That is a lot. So there's a trash can over here, but people are coming over here and not throwing their garbage away. So that tells us we need to add a trash can or two on this side. Oh, what a mess. Right on the edge of the pool. Should take care of that. A little bit of litter by that chair, but that's isolated. Same over there. Yeah, kind of looking in some of the areas where there's not any cans. And, it's just place a few to make sure that we have a little bit better coverage. Alright, that should be a bit better. Seems like people are complaining about this, but now there's a long line for it, but this probably just needs to go anyway. People are excited about it, though, interestingly. Despite the reputation being old. Do we need to hire more security in the park? Almost seems like having some cameras over here or something like that would be beneficial. This whole park entrance and the plaza and everything I think needs to be redone though. Let's go ahead and add add a little camera coverage there. And I'm almost thinking what we should maybe try to do is take a... Yeah, see the way that this was built, it's kind of tough to take a large segment out. And it's awkwardly shaped, so that's going to look kind of crummy. But ideally we'd have a post or something like that kind of here in the middle. Well, actually you can set one in the middle there. Alright. Alright, let me go in and check that out. And I'm probably going to let this run for a little bit longer and then... Oh, that's got to be it right there. Based on the name. Not a big coaster, so that's actually relatively easy to place and test. Two blueprints I have next. I'm not going to be on much longer. So I don't know if I'm going to get to the two of them tonight. Let's give this a ride. I like this pre-lift section. Use a little bit more momentum at the beginning, I think, to make that more, meant to help with the pacing into that there. Because it takes a pretty big slowdown on that second one, but I really like that. I love, you know, those pre-lift elements on these RMCs. Ooh, I like that. kind of a cool little sidewinder element, or reverse sidewinder. I'm a sucker for zero-G stalls. I really like that, and a nice, interesting outer banked turn. Man, that's not your best. I'd be blown away to see what is, because that right there is a really good coaster. That's very well done. Let's look at the overall stats. Great speed. Size drop. It's not massive. But it has great elements. Your vertical G's almost 7 somewhere on here. So that's something to take a look at. The minimum vertical is 2.6. That's kind of interesting. So for the transfer track and for the nebula. Okay, I'll check them out in a minute. Just a flat ride and transfer track. Okay. Good airtime. Good variety of elements on this coaster. This is really not half bad. Like, I like this a lot. Let's see. Yeah, it really... This is what, kind of is a little bit of a crutch on the overall EFN ratings on this coaster right here is your pre-drop. What I would do to improve that, I would make your station a little bit higher, give the train a little more momentum coming through the pre-lift. This first hill is good, but it loses way too much speed going up the second, and that's why it's not really anything exciting on your EFN rankings. Otherwise, look at just about everything else on this coaster is in, olive to bright green, and that's a really good sign. That means it has... I don't like to say that means, but I can tell you just by looking at it and from watching the POV that it has a great layout and great pacing. So this is really well done. I think you need to clean up the pre-lift. Or if you wanted to, change your station to go this way and do away with the pre-lift and just have your brakes tie in this way to the station. If you keep the pre-lift, which I'm a big fan of pre-lifts on RMCs, your station just bring the height up a little bit and give the train a little more momentum. I'm sorry, to come through that. Can I rate it? By the way, I'm 10. Man, if you're only 10, you've got a bright future playing this game, let me tell you that. In terms of a number of stars, I would give this ride, I would easily give this ride a 4.5. Because everything after the first drop is phenomenal. I like it a lot. Your coaster is really being held back, I think, by this pre-lift. And I'm a big fan of pre-lifts, which is why I'd only take a half star. It's compact, it's not super tall, not super fast, and I think that fits this ride really, really well. Add an airtime hill at the end with the brakes. Yeah, let me, I'll look at that in just a second. Excitement doesn't get too high anywhere. See, this is all It does a little bit there. It gets kinda into the olive to tan. But it's not anything that spikes way too high. That would make it intolerable for riders. And nausea comes up a bit right there. But your excitement carries through really high. And the fear tapers off a bit, so I don't think that's anything that needs to be adjusted. Let's see, Jimpers, add an airtime hill. Yep, okay, yeah, I read that. Yeah, so coming up before the brakes, because this is, well, it does have some brakes, but it didn't really seem to hit too hard. What you could do is taper that off, and then just kind of, you could even, I know this isn't really a big RMC thing to my knowledge, but you could do downhill brakes, have an airtime hill here, and you've got enough room to do a second right there. So you could reprofile the end of the ride a little bit. But I was okay with that. It's, look at how your train crawls through that pre-lift. That's the biggest problem I have with the ride. If you could fix that, this would be an incredible coaster. If I didn't already have one in the park, and one that I'm planning to replace, Bromwich built for me a while back, I would use this in this park. This fits perfectly the size, and like I said, after the first drop, or you could say starting with the first drop, the layout and pacing is fantastic. So they're very well done. Go. Out.
Loose.
Somebody got pickpocketed in line. On the train, too? Man. People can't behave. Thanks for looking at my coaster. Oh yeah, absolutely. You did a really good job with that. Very well done. Just needs a little bit of fine tuning. Like I said, if that's not your best coaster, I'm curious to what your best is. That'd be, because that was a stellar. I don't think I could have built the RMC that well. But RMCs are not my strong suit. Actually, if any of you how about one of y'all can attempt to recreate Siren's Curse, not forcing you to use the new gen track mod. Let me get these codes, check out what JP, see what he made. Let's go into the workshop. Oh. They're the first two that show up, probably because they're the newest. So I don't even have to worry about the codes. Makes life easy. Alright. Let's see here. Flat ride. Ooh. Oh, so it's one of these, like a gear spin at Carowinds. Not actually been on one of these rides. I think I built one in the Mythology Park. I like this, these posts with the netting, and then you built the little windmill on top. I think that's really neat. I would use this in this park. I know it may be a little bit I started to say tough and difficult at the same time. I think I would like to see maybe some additional kind of theming to extend down here to enclose the base, although I can understand why you'd leave it exposed because I mean, look at the fire. I mean, you could even color that, kind of redo the design on that. But yeah, that's a cool ride. I don't really agree with the queue placement. So I would probably scrap the queue and kind of realign it. But that is nice. And then let me see your transfer track. Is it me, or is this, this seems really large for the transfer track. But I do like it. I'm sure you'd probably, in principle, elevate this off the ground to where the coaster is. But this is nicely designed. Very cool. Canada's Wonderland doesn't allow people under the age of 15 in the park without an adult. At all, really? Interesting. I wonder if that is a, I wonder if that's a Cedar Fair slash, well, Six Flags, the Cedar Fair Legacy. Because it seems like a lot of those started to really implement those, like, no, if you're under 15, or if you're 15 or younger, you have to have an adult after, like, 4 p.m. or something like that. And then anybody who's 16 was allowed to be on their own, and, they would just have to show ID if they got stopped. The behavior of the teenagers was diabolical. Oh man, I figured that's usually the reason that they implement those policies, is because somebody goofed off too much. Kids these days. No disrespect to any of you that may be kids, so to speak, in chat. I'm gonna go for the night. See ya. Alright, Love Meganos, thanks so much for hanging out. Great job with that coaster again. I would encourage you to try reworking that with the feedback that Jimpers and I gave you. And you could have yourself a 5-star masterpiece. That would be one that I would highly encourage. I mean, I already would. I would encourage people to go check it out and maybe just do a couple of those little fixes that we talked about. But I really liked that. That was, for your first RMC, that was incredibly well done. My first RMC was this, and it's a fun coaster, but it is not realistic. It's got a really wonky, sprawling layout. Yours is more realistic, and it really it fits very nicely in a compact area, and would be a really good addition to this park, and really any park. They would cut right to the front of the rides until they got kicked out. Mainly Canadian teenagers. They all try to be super gangster and cool. Oh man, I don't know, maybe the kids are the exception, but I've always heard all the adults up in Canada, everybody's like super friendly. That's the stereotype, but all of the Canadians that I've ever met actually have been very nice. Alright, I want to find a place for this. I want to use this. It really isn't a stereotype. I mean, I think there's some truth to it. Yeah. Oh, I made that little crater there. Alright, let's see. Oh, yeah, there's him right there. Out! Oh, there we go. Anyone Canadian before 1995 is the nicest person known to man. Alright, let's see, it's a little bit after 11 here, so it's gonna be time for me to call it a night. I'm starting to get tired. That flight on flight sim took a little bit of time. I just need to find a place and think about where I would want to add that that nebula ride that JP built. That was really cool. So I'll think about that. Think about what else I want to do in this park. Mainly probably going to involve moving. Oh, I got the hiccups, I'm sorry. Moving these pools. Try to find an area that would be suitable for that. These two coasters kind of stick out in the way a little bit. I mean, we could always do stuff over... Well, no, we can't really change that. There's probably room right back here. There's just this coaster's in the way a little bit. But we could always redo the path. Or... I want to see if a guard... Yep! See if he's gonna catch him or make it out of the park. Get him. Busted. Ha! Alright folks, I'm gonna wind down for the evening. This has been fun, a good turnout tonight. Jimper's absolutely fantastic job on that Giga. That was just incredible. I'd really like to find a place that I could use that. But yeah, everybody that built stuff today was really... Your dive coaster was also really good. Yeah, I mean, everybody that builds stuff that I look at. I've not seen anything that I've been like, nah, this isn't very good. Like, everything that I've seen has impressed me. And I try to give some sort of criticism in the spirit of being constructive and encouraging improvement. Because I think everybody always has room for improvement on things. Including myself. But everything that I've looked at, I'm like, man, this is a really solid foundation. if it's not just outright amazing from the get-go, which many times it is. So, but that's the great thing about this, is when you get people to collaborate or get people to look at your stuff and give feedback, you know, say what they like, say what could be improved, and that's just how everybody starts getting really good at this stuff. So, I'm not sure that I'm gonna be on tomorrow. I probably will, but it might be late. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do this or Flight Sim or both. I haven't really thought about it, but I've got a busy afternoon. If I do get on, it'll probably be pretty late. So, good luck with the masterclass. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm a little bit nervous. I'm really excited, but I'm a little bit nervous at the same time. But I'm sure it'll be fun. If there's any way I'd be able to share a recording, I will try to do so. But yep. Alright, let me save here before I forgot, even though we really didn't do a whole lot. But yeah, we're all set. I'll think about some more stuff that I would like to do in this park, and most likely I'll be on tomorrow night. Like I said, I'm not really sure. It'll probably be a bit later than I normally get on in the evening, and so I'm not sure if I'm not sure what I'll be streaming, but there's also the off chance that I just take the night off. But I'd like to not do that because it's the weekend, and I unexpectedly ended up not streaming at all yesterday too. So, alright, game is saved. Let me exit out. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Great job with all of the building stuff, Jimpers. That Giga, fantastic again. Absolutely needs to be on the feature of the workshop. No results available? Really? I don't know why that... Is it because it needs to be in browse? No, I don't know. Weird. But, yeah, absolutely fantastic job again. Alright. I'm off of here. Thank you all again. Take care, stay safe. We'll see you soon.